A mysterious murder.
Poison. And you're talking foul play.
Uncovers a family's shocking past.
How could you do something like this?
In the heat of the night. Then join Audrey Hepburn, Charlton Heston, Anthony Quinn, and many more for a special event. The American Film Institute's salute to Gregory Peck. Tonight.
Next on A Current Affair, Grandma and the Hitman.
Right now, the cash is really flowing at your Hyundai dealer. It's Hyundai's first ever $1,000 factory cash back deal. Buy a new Excel GLS, the lowest price, best equipped car in its class, and get a check for $1,000 with your name on it. Could be that down payment. Imagine $1,000 factory cash back on America's best-selling import. So hurry into your Hyundai dealer now before Hyundai's $1,000 cash flow runs out. Rush into your nearest Hyundai dealer and go with the big Hyundai cash flow today.
This week at Lawrence Photo Video, you can buy your choice of these great video camcorders for less than $26 a month. No money down with approved credit. Less than $26 a month this weekend at Lawrence Photo Video.
Now, this is News 4 Oklahoma.
Just pray for Ben. That's the main thing I want.
The wife of a firefighter critically injured 2 weeks ago says that's all the community can do to help now. Good evening, I'm Linda Cavanaugh.
And I'm Dan Slocum. Faith, that's what the wife of a critically burned Oklahoma City firefighter holds on to tonight. Sandy Zellner talked to reporters today for the first time since a fire seriously injured her husband, Benny. Zellner suffered burns while fighting a house fire earlier this month. 2 other firefighters lost their lives in that blaze. Mrs. Zellner praised the community and its children for their support.
It's very comforting to know that there are people out there that care. The mail has just been flowing in like you can't believe, and it's just been, and the children have just, I can't really even talk about it.
The 45-year-old fireman remains in very critical condition with burns over more than 65% of his body.
Nearly a dozen patients in Memorial Hospital's intensive care unit had to be evacuated today because of a fire in a closet. Fire officials say it was arson and was a cover-up from an armed robbery at the complex. News 4's Nita Vanetti reports it's the second time a fire has been set at that hospital, and now there are questions about safety.
Hospital workers spent most of the day cleaning up water and smoke damage on the 9th floor of Memorial Hospital. It was a close call for nearly a dozen critically ill patients. They had to be evacuated from the intensive care unit when smoke started pouring out of this closet next door. Fire marshals say the blaze was set. It was apparently started in a box of bottles containing alcohol. Spokesmen say a similar fire was set in the same area of the hospital just 3 months ago.
On December 13th, in approximately the same area of the hospital, it was in another storage closet on the 9th floor, very near ICU. And in that one, it was definitely arson. There was obviously a flammable liquid used and apparently a cigarette used to ignite the liquid.
Now, investigators say both of those fires were diversions. At the same time of the blaze, someone was robbing the hospital's credit union. Fire Marshal Byron Hollander says he's convinced the person who set the fire is the same person who robbed the credit union. He can't say whether the suspect will try again.
So far, there have been no injuries in the fires here. But because 2 fires have already been set, the probability that another fire could be set is growing. And the staff will have to concern itself not only with curing patients, but with protecting those patients from an arsonist. Anita Vanetti, News 4.
And an FBI spokesman tells us that the suspect is described as a black male in his 20s. He's about 5'7" to 5'10" inches tall. He weighs around 135 to 140 pounds, a blue windbreaker and blue jeans. Now, the fire marshal says he believes the suspect is either an employee or a former employee of that hospital. AmCare says it's going to have to raise rates in order to steer clear of money problems. AmCare is planning to boost its membership fees another $10. Now, this new rate will be $56 a year for membership. AmCare also got permission from the city to set up a $400,000 revolving credit line with a bank. That money is needed to pay for things like salaries and gas for the vehicles. AmCare blames Medicare, which has been slow in making payments for services to the elderly, for denying some claims.
Based upon the ebb and flow of that particular entitlement program, we find ourselves at times certainly strapped as far as our cash flow situation is concerned.
Now, AmCare says 50% of its revenue comes from Medicare.
Death has torn apart a McLeod family. Two teenage brothers said to be drunk and fighting over a knife this morning. And now one brother is dead. News 4's Mark Robertson Baker reports that violence is having a profound effect on other McLeod teenagers as well.
For Marjorie Ingram, it had to be a mother's worst nightmare. Inside her house, her 18-year-old son, Monty, is dead. And outside, in the back seat of a police car, is her 14-year-old son, thought responsible for his brother's death.
When I arrived and seen what was there, I knew pretty well what had happened.
Chief Heath believes the pair had been drinking. A fight over a knife started outside. Monty was stabbed. The younger brother left, and Monty staggered into the house. He died sitting in a living room chair. This all comes only weeks after a number of McLeod teenagers are implicated in the murder of a convenience store clerk. Stories about robberies and killings are usually forgotten as soon as the newscast is over. But for many McLeod teenagers, these stories will not be forgotten easily, because when it happens in your town and to people you know, it's as if it happened to you. It's spring break in McLeod now. Time normally spent carefree, but this year kids are spending the time trying to understand.
When I moved here 4 years ago, it was real nice. Everybody knew everybody and everything. Everybody was friends and everything, but now it's getting to where everybody fights with each other and everything.
But it's changed me, and I'm hoping it'll change a lot of others because, you know, I'd like for things to get back the way they were.
In McLeod, Mark Robertson Baker, News 4.
The younger brother is in juvenile custody. It is unclear what charges, if any, will be brought. However, two adults who supplied the two brothers with alcohol may face charges.
Well, you have until 7 this evening to vote in today's city government election. 6 metro towns have ballots on which new city leaders are being chosen.
Right here? Yes, There you go.
All right. So far, turnout's been light. Only one precinct reported problems when a voting machine was left locked up after the polls opened. And the names have changed, but the problem's the same. Election signs on the right-of-way. Oklahoma City Council candidate Willa Johnson and incumbent Goree James both have signs on this corner. James was on the council when a tighter ordinance was passed last year to prevent this problem. We asked James about it, and he said he would only comment on issues, not signs. City officials have the ability to issue fines against candidates whose signs are placed illegally on the road right-of-way.
And next, have you ever known someone who had a seizure?
Well, often seizures are caused by epilepsy, a problem that affects thousands of Oklahomans and hundreds of thousands across our country.
The whole thing was that, you were considered a cripple, and you really weren't.
Looking for a great...
Call about our $69.95 special.
That's the reason Bluebell ice cream keeps on tasting great. Homemade flavors, down home goodness, natural as can be. Bluebell is the best tasting ice cream in the country. Bluebell is the best tasting ice cream in the country.
March for Health. All this month, we've been offering updates on how to make the best of your life and your health. For 30,000 Oklahomans, having epilepsy doesn't cramp their normal, productive lives. Today, seizures can be controlled by medication. But for those whose seizures do not respond to medication, surgery may be an alternative. In tonight's For Your Health, Terry Cook has the first of a two-part series on epilepsy.
In high school, I got teased a lot. Like, whenever I would walk into walls, I would fall. And the whole thing was that, you were considered a cripple, and you really weren't.
Kathy has epilepsy. It's characterized by abnormal electrical rhythms in the brain and occasional convulsions. Now, doctors believe Kathy's epilepsy began as a teenager when she fell, hit her head, and was knocked unconscious. By high school graduation, Kathy was having 3 seizures a week. That's still true today, some 15 years later.
Most of them are just blackouts.
There are numerous causes of epilepsy, including tumors, a high fever in infancy, and head injuries. Sometimes epilepsy is inherited. Medication can control seizures for most epileptics. For Kathy and several 100,000 others, though, drugs don't work. So here at the University of Pittsburgh Epilepsy Center, Kathy will go through months of tests to see if she is a candidate for surgery. If she qualifies, part of her brain will be removed. Soon Kathy will go through this type of testing like Edward Beer, with 4 electrodes surgically implanted in his brain. Doctors are closely monitoring Ed's behavior. Ed's been in this hospital room for most of 19 days, and it's lonely.
Just not being with my family. I've been in here so long.
In the next few minutes, Ed will undergo a test in which the implanted electrodes deliver an electrical current to his brain. That allows doctors to see where his epilepsy is located, but it could also produce a seizure.
Go to 15 volt.
The voltage is mild. It creates no pain, but it does produce a mild seizure.
Electrical after discharge. So that's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. It may be that we need to have a map of his whole brain function and correlate it with all the other tests before we can really pinpoint things.
For Your Health, I'm Terry Cook.
In tomorrow's segment, Terry Cook reports months of hard work and testing can have a very rewarding ending. In case you missed News 4 at 5, here are some of the top stories.
First, a warning that some of the video you're about to see may not be suitable for small children, or it may upset you. Last night we showed you this shocking home video of a Tennessee babysitter slapping the child in her care. The parents made the tape without the sitter's knowledge after hearing complaints from a sibling about the abuse. Well, today this parent and more says there's help for people who even think about abusing children. This woman said she just had negative thoughts about her kids, and counseling helped her through the crisis.
News 4 has learned that the case of one student arrested last week for allegedly selling drugs at Moore High School may be turned over to federal prosecutors. That's because of a federal law that doubles the penalty for a conviction of selling drugs if they are sold on or near school grounds.
After 5 months of wrangling, Oklahoma City now has a tougher vicious dog law. The new law makes it easier to remove vicious animals from their owners. Now, in the past, dogs had to make 2 attacks before considered vicious. Now they only have to attack once. The new ordinance takes effect immediately.
Did you happen to see a special escort going through town today? It wasn't your normal police escort. We'll tell you what the occasion was later in our news.
But next, will the real spring make an appearance this week? Meteorologist Kevin Foreman can answer that in just a moment.
Your Pontiac.
If your car pulls to one side, if your steering wheel is off center, your car could be out of alignment. At Midas, trained professionals with the latest technology align your car right before your tires show uneven wear. Have your alignment checked, or you could be shortening tire life and taking risks. You see, we're serious about safety. Hey, nobody beats Midas. Nobody.
See any of your Oklahoma City Midas dealers for details on their shock and strut specials.
I think weather-wise, we are headed in the right direction.
I like the way it looks.
Yeah.
Heading onward and upward.
Yes.
Just like the... Well, I don't
Just
know.
like what?
I'll have to come up with something better than what I was thinking. It wasn't really that good. The pollen is up once again today in the significant category. Mold is even up just a little bit today in the moderate category. We had some good cold temperatures over central Oklahoma. These are our metro weather watchers. The range was 27 to 30. Now, officially out at the airport, they had 30 degrees up in Nichols Hills. Our weather watcher there coming in with 27, so quite cold around the metro area today. Temperatures rebounded nicely with a good full day of sun into the 40s, even some 50s down across the south. And it looks like we'll be jumping up into the 60s tomorrow and then into 70s as we get into Thursday. So not too bad. We had clear skies here in the morning in the metro. The clouds decreased rather rapidly. Had some snowfall overnight from southwest through south central Oklahoma, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches, but with temperatures in the 50s, even that's gone. So we're looking pretty good. We're getting into spring. 30 this morning, unofficially 40 for a daytime high. Our present temperatures dropped down to 47. Humidity is very low, 22%. Winds are out of the north at 12. So once the winds die down tonight, it's going to get quite cold once again. Likely we will see another freeze. And then after this, looks like we could go 7 to 10 days without seeing another one, which wouldn't Just wouldn't make me upset at all. Clouds over the state this morning, decreasing rapidly. Look at the big thunderstorms over eastern Texas all the way down to Houston. Big upper-level storm over southwestern Texas is still even producing a little bit of snow down there, but it's weakening and moving off down to the southeast, so it's going to turn into a real rainmaker for the Gulf Coast, and already they are getting quite a bit of rain. You can see the storm down in southwestern Texas. It's going to move off the Houston coast by morning. A low-pressure center will develop along the surface out and through the Gulf of Mexico, and just tons of moisture will be thrown up over parts of Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, Georgia, and northern sections of Florida. So if you have plans down there over the next couple of days, it will be very, very wet. Very dry up and through the northern plains. A lot of sunshine today. For tomorrow, another storm will start to move out of the Rockies, spread a little bit of rain and snow up and through that area. This front is going to drop down through us as we get into Friday and sit down and through central Texas. At that time, a lot of moisture will start to ride up over it, so Saturday and Sunday looks like we could see some widespread shower and thunderstorm activity. But until then, the Gulf's going to remain cut off, humidities will be low, and temperatures will be jumping up. Tomorrow in the 60s, and as I mentioned, as we get into Thursday, that'll be warming up into the 70s. So not too bad. Maybe this imposter that calls itself spring will finally get out of the way and let the real spring come through. Clear and cold tonight with light winds. Overnight lows about 22 to 27. So cold across the state. And for tomorrow, a lot of sunshine, be warming up a little bit. South winds about 10 to 15. Highs in the low to mid 60s. 5-day outlook for central Oklahoma, around 27 in the morning, depending on where you are in the metro. 62 for a daytime high tomorrow. About 72 on Thursday. A little bit cooler on Friday. Saturday and Sunday, as I mentioned, we are setting up for a pretty good chance of rain.
Yes, well...
What are you guys giggling about?
Well, Linda sometimes is like a kindergartner in class.
I understand that.
I was having to tell her to kind of shush over here. Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Have you noticed the temperatures up in Bethany?
Yes.
Big
hot.
celebration over there. They are hot. The national champs are home.
That is coming up next in sports. Plus, Big Bob Berry is in Jamaica. Jamaica, New York, that is, where it looks like a clash of the colors orange versus red. Hello, Bob.
Now, does that sound familiar, orange versus red? And my nose is red, too. No, somebody's face will be red probably after this game because the loser, their season's over. The winner goes on. We'll have a live report from New York, next.
Money. We were of all the wonderful places to catch fish, the most popular is this one, Long John Silver's, where you can tie into our 3-piece fish dinner for only $3.69. 3 flaky fillets dipped in our original secret recipe batter, served up crunchy and golden brown with all the extras, now only $3.69. Long John Silver's, the best recipe for seafood.
We deliver quality. Quality like Jeep Cherokee, one of America's greatest on-road, off-road favorites. And right now, you can save big on Cherokee quality. Select models can save you $1,600. We deliver savings. Buy now and save on Jeep Wrangler. Get into a Wrangler for this low price for a limited time only. We deliver value, Cherokee quality, Wrangler savings. It all adds up to the best value for the dollar.
See your Metro, Jeep, and Eagle dealers where you can expect the best.
Boy, this is an exciting time of year sports-wise. Your dad looks excited, too, doesn't he?
He's in New York. Then I think he's going to go to Kentucky and watch Oklahoma play basketball. There's a lot of stuff going on in the hoops world. Oklahoma State's basketball team has made it to New York as the National Invitation Tournament continues, but OSU is not yet playing inside the famed Madison Square Garden. Instead, the Cowboys are about a half hour away from a second-round game in Jamaica, New York, as OSU takes on the St. John's Redmen of the highly publicized Big East Conference. News 4 Sports Director Bob Berry is there. And you'll have the radio call of the game tonight. What do you think about the game itself, Dad?
Oklahoma State's a 2-point underdog, and it'll be that close. John Phillips is with me, assistant coach. Is he smiling? Yes, I think he is a little bit. John scouted St. John's. Now, this team, it seems to me, John, is the old veteran Luke Carnesecca, who's been in these tournaments for years against the new staff, Leonard Hamilton's first time at the NIT. Does that make a difference to these kids, though?
Well, I don't think so, Bob. We're approaching it just like another road game, going to Pittsburgh, going to Louisville, going to Columbia, Missouri. So we feel like we're ready and prepared.
We're watching Corey Williams, number 5, who had a great game against Boise State last Friday in the 69-55 win, and Von McDade, who hit number 32, hits the big 3-pointer. That was a great win for you.
Yeah, it was a great win. The outside shooting of Corey Williams began to come back for him, and Von McDade came off the bench and really played well, and we're hoping those two things happen tonight.
John, just one final question. Do you feel like you're being set up? You're sent to New York, and St. John's plays some of the games in the Garden. They're playing a home game. Is this a setup?
Well, we don't look at it like that. The NIT tournament, you're going to have to play a tough road game, obviously, before you can get to the Madison Square Garden. So to us, this is where basketball is really famous, so it's exciting.
John, thanks so much for being with us. John Phillips, assistant coach at Oklahoma State. As Bob Jr. said, it tips off in about 30 minutes, and we'll have a report at 10 with highlights. Back to you, Bob.
Thank you. Looking forward to it. The game will be on cable outlets here in the city area, which answers many phone calls we've received here today at News 4. The national champion Lady Redskins of Southern Nazarene University returned home just a few minutes ago in Bethany. News 4's Robbie Robertson was there and has this report.
The celebration started less than an hour ago in the Broadhurst Gym on the campus of Southern Nazarene. The champions acted like champions. There was no doubt who was number one.
I mean, we really appreciate all the support y'all have given us, and I don't think anything could have happened better for me for my senior year, and without y'all, it wouldn't have happened.
Lady Redskin head coach Bob Hoffman was named the NAIA Coach of the Year last night in Kansas City, and the Lady Redskins should be tough again next year. They lose only one player off their national championship team. From Southern Nazarene, Robbie Robertson, News 4 Sports.
And Indiana University's Coach Bobby Knight has been voted the National Basketball Coach of the Year by United Press International. It's the second time Bobby Knight has won that national honor. Now, you know, Pete Rose, the baseball manager of the Cincinnati Reds, is being investigated for alleged gambling activities. And it turns out, according to reports, he has wagered on baseball games in the past and once received a dead fish in the mail as a warning to pay up debts. Pete had this to say today on a radio pregame show.
Well, Marty, all I can tell you is we are cooperating with the Commissioner's office, and we hope that everything gets taken care of real fast before opening day so we can get down to business, and business is winning the National League West. And that's all I'd like to say about that.
There's also a report that says Pete once lost $13,000 in one day at a horse racing track. So apparently he's got some more meetings set up.
All right,
with the Commissioner.
Back in a minute.
Great, Ray. That's a wrap.
Huh?
That's sweet.
Well, a lot of banks have...
Now at McDonald's, when you play Scrabble at breakfast, you could win once. And you could win once again. Because now at breakfast, you get double game pieces and more chances to win.
Your teacher's out today. Orange, you glad you got me for a substitute? But really, folks, this is not an orange, not an IGA. What's the plan? Stan, my man. IGA oranges are always dull or sun-kissed. Juicy, sweet, and bright orange, not yellowish. Yuck! Hey, picking produce can be pretty tricky, so leave it to the pros. Be picky, shop IGA. Stan, give me 5.
News 4 Nightcast crews are at work to bring you the latest news tonight at 10.
The wife of an Oklahoma City firefighter critically burned talks about the tragedy she's been going through. You'll hear from her, plus have the latest on Benny Zellner's condition.
Plus, a plane crashes into a neighborhood in a town in Brazil. We'll tell you how many people were hurt.
We'll see tonight on News 4 Nightcast.
And Kevin joins us now to give us a weather update. Look out the window.
It's excellent out there. It's a little bit cool, but skies are clear. The winds will come down to about 10. You'll need a coat if you're going out, but tell you what, the next couple of days are really looking good.
Well, this is a little cool for March, though.
It is a little bit cool for March. Our normal daytime high is up around 63. We are sufficiently deficient.
Well, by the end of the week, though, we will be...
We'll be well above.
Okay, thank you.
We'll be sufficiently not...
Right.
That's right.
Whatever.
Whatever.
If you were driving past the Cowboy Hall of Fame today and thought you saw an old Western posse riding down the street, your eyes weren't deceiving you. At first glance, they looked like a posse hot on the trail of criminals, but they're actually the Oklahoma U.S. Marshals Mounted Patrol. They escorted 2 truckloads of memorabilia that'll be on display when the new U.S. Marshals exhibit opens at the Cowboy Hall next month.
It's our history. There's a lot involved here, and we want the public, the people of Oklahoma City, to know what the U.S. Marshals about. We were here when the land run started, and we're trying to put on and represent the U.S. Marshal.
U.S. Marshals have been around in Oklahoma, as he mentioned, since the land run days of the 1800s.
I like to see mounted police.
They're a spectacle.
Yes, they are. will be a spectacle again probably tonight at 10. Hope you'll join us.
We'll see you then. You know, Dan.
Yes.
Square meal, square